Hello, Martyn. Good to see you back again. Just a quick intro. You're an author, I would say co-conspirator in terms of trying to change the world. And if people have watched the first clip, they certainly know that we have opinions in what it is that we're trying to achieve. And I suppose in essence, and we described it last time, we're trying to change the world of business and organizations to be a lot more human than they have been, to remove the traditional forms of management, to get rid of this hierarchy, and I always say merchant hierarchy, because we do need leaders and we do need people that take control and charge, but at certain points, at certain levels, and what we'd like to do is people that are in charge for the right reasons. They're like human beings. They want to make, a difference. They have for me, training as well, because I think there's a lot of people that assume that great leaders are born, and I think they are. But I do think, like any athlete and any top performer, they have to practice, they have to be trained, they have to be coached in order to really achieve excellence. And I always say, you and I wouldn't turn out in a rugby field or a football field and play against France or England, never having kicked the football. It's the essence of practice to get there. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to instill that. And I suppose part of the last meeting we had, video clip, was on about, well, what's wrong with the world and how do we change it? Today, I'd like to kind of focus on much more about this notion of, I suppose the term is high performance, isn't it? And I know you and I disagree with that. And perhaps you can explain, perhaps why you don't agree with this term high performing teams, what's wrong with it, and perhaps what we should be looking at in terms of your model, which is elite teamship, elite performance, and elite leadership, which isn't about elite. It's something more, isn't it, than just simply.
Well, it's got the thing about elite. It gives this idea. We talked last time about the fact that we're operating in these two worlds.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is us with our, this is how we've got to look, and this is what we really think. And if we go to the world how we really think, they'll run a mile.
Yeah.
Too
radical.
So there's always this thing about you can only just be like 10% ahead of where you're going to. When we talk about elite, people often think, well, there's a hierarchy, they're the best in the world and all the rest of it. Actually, counterintuitively, to be in an elite team, you've got to be very egalitarian. I called my program the Elite Team Program, the Elite Team Concept, which we introduced into business. Yeah. But actually, it's actually counterintuitive. Like I said, it's about them being more egalitarian. Humble. And being able to think for themselves.
Yeah.
And good leadership. Archimedes said, if you could move, give me a lever long enough and a place to stand, strong enough place to stand, I can move the world. And I say that leadership is the lever, and humility is a place to stand. And so you can't get to a point of excellence because good enough tends to kill off excellence, doesn't it? Good enough kills excellence, but they say. But the thing about humility is that you've got to have that humility to get out there and want to learn more, and to think that there's always more learning. Yeah. I learned with a guy in the jungle, and the guy was like bloody Yoda, This guy tracked us for 7 days, and we were being tactical in the jungle, 4-man team. And then at the end of the kind of week, he'd started off behind us, tracked us, managed to get in front of us, and I was lead scout at this point. And he was stood there in front of me, smiling, I was 6 feet from him, which is, not unusual in the jungle. You can be like that close to someone before you see him. Bastard. It was just, and I was just like in awe of this guy. I was 19, I think, at the time. 21 I was, sorry. I was my 21st birthday in the jungle. And so afterwards I was like, so what are you going to do next? This post was finished. I'm going to go off and learn again. I'm going, who the hell could teach you anything? Yeah.
But that's the problem, isn't it? Because once one of the things I've avoided all my life is being called an expert. Expert in complex systems, expert in leadership, expert in. I said no. I do not. Because one of the things but I realized very quickly when I started off as a lecturer in university, when I became principal lecturer, because as a lecturer I sat in everybody's talks. I would literally go, can I join your marketing lecture? And they go, yeah, come along. And as soon as I went to the principal lecture, or I became a doctor, it was, no, I don't. I get embarrassed. I don't do that. I want to learn. I do not know your subject. Yeah, you're a doctor. Of course you do. I'm not an expert. And of course, one of the things that I picked up on is that, I study a lot about very little. A little part of life is, that I study a lot, and I go with great depth into that bit. But what I forget is all the other things that make this stuff up, which makes life exciting, doesn't it? And I think that's the bit that we've, in terms of leadership, and I know we're going off track slightly, but in terms of leadership, for me, that's the bit that we've missed out on, is that leadership for me should be a time span. You should be a leader for 2 or 3 months and then step back down. And I think it's I think in terms of skin in the game, isn't it? So because as soon as you step out of delivering frontline products and services, you actually shouldn't be making decisions for the team, because because you don't know any longer what it's like to deliver that product or that service to the customer. You should go back down. And for me, I don't know whether you agree with that. Is the leaders should reach a point where they lead for a certain time and then go, right, I'm getting de-skilled, I don't really know what's going on, and then go back into but we don't do that in organizations, do we?
Well, we do in the one I'm working with.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so one of the things is, as we convert into this kind of elite team thing, and all that is working in teams of people who are, engaged in the unrelenting pursuit of excellence. That's one of the ethos of the SAS. Liberated from a command and control structure. They're interdependent, so you go from, all human systems go through this codependent stage as a baby, counterdependent when we're socializing, so you can be alone, you stand alone sort of thing, and then interdependent, and then eventually independence, and interdependence is the next one. But the interdependent stage is where those teams get to, where they can, if they want a feedback on how they're doing, they don't have to have a manager, they certainly have to get the person next to them and say, how am I doing? All right, mate, carry on. Right,
yeah. So do you have to teach them? Sorry, and I want to come back into that concept of elite, by the way. So don't let me forget that. But so do you have to teach them that skill? Because one of the things we're not very good at is giving and receiving feedback, is it? Because they go, no, hang on, you're the same level as me. How dare you tell me I wouldn't ask you that I'm doing very good because you're the same level as me. Have you done work then that removes that from us?
What I try to do is kind of, again, it's that taking them just a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further to, instead of being radically open straight away, you work towards that, don't you?
So you give them the skills, because we're not very good at it, are we?
No. They're not a natural thing. That's that's pretty obvious. But yeah, it's something that you have to expand on slowly but surely, and teach them that thing, because don't forget, these people thought they were going to this path, and then you come along and go, well, actually there's this other path, and it's only, and quite often you find that it's only when they go down the path you go, oh wow, I can see the benefits of this. And there will be people, funny enough, this is a good one, if people get, say they're in the special forces, and they get do they call it, not black squad, if they get to RTU, return to unit, they'll quite often go and then leave the military altogether, because once you've been in that stage where you're expected to make your own decisions, you've got this level of autonomy and understanding about this sort of thing, you've learnt these skills to be able to do this. The idea of going back into a hierarchical organisation where someone who's having a bad day could give you a bad, and you can't turn around and tell them where to go. Well, it just blows your mind, doesn't it? It's just like,
you can't return.
You can't return. And it happens in organisations. You'll quite often find that people will leave because, oh no, I don't want this. I want to be told what to do. And then when they go and get told, oh no, perhaps it's not, and they go back.
So take us right back then into your concept. So elite. What does it stand for? And I'm trying not to use, if you can, jargon. I'll pick you up on it. But words that I'm looking in on you now, listening to this. What does the elite mean? How can I get there with my group of ruffians from?
Well, I'll start off by just, if you're going to go somewhere, say you're going into the jungle or whatever, one of the things you're going to need is a compass, and the other thing is a map. Otherwise, you'll be lost within minutes. So that's what I spend first of all doing. Is first, your organisation has a personality. You've got a personality, that kind of thing. Whether you call it personalities or strengths or whatever, they're all. The map is not the territory, by the way. It's very important. This they're just generalizations. So we do a very generalized thing that, you know, you've got these kind of strengths, your preferences will be around this sort of thing. So they develop their own little personal compass and get, oh yeah, I understand now why I act the way I do, and I understand why you're such a miserable sod when this happens.
On a Monday, yeah.
Yeah. So familiarity is very important in close-knit teams. And you can do that by obviously having shared experiences and spending time with each other. But you've got to kind of trust each other, but also having a bit more insight into people. You can speed that process up. Okay, so that's the first thing you do. And then you kind of talk about, well, there's this thing called elite teams, which actually doesn't mean that you're up here or anything. It just means that you're able to operate autonomously. You're agile, you're creative, you're enterprising. You can make your own decisions. But how do you make your own decisions without, you know, sinking the ship? Well, there's a process. If you do this and have an ecology check, that's the one thing that would save the world, having an ecology check.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so an ecology check is...
Because that's really important, isn't it? Because I've seen that crop up in a number of bits of your work.
So the ecology check is, if you were to make a decision, I'll give you an example. So I was sent to Jamaica. So I just got back from one place, phone picked up, right, go to Jamaica and stop drugs being smuggled out on our planes. We're getting fined millions of dollars. Right, okay, bang. Went over there, looked at the system, did the usual risk analysis, threat and risk analysis and stuff like that. And then, right, here's a plan of action. This is what we need to do. We need to stop this gang thing going on at the just before they could board the plane. We need to make that a bit more orderly. Otherwise, we can't control the situation. Okay, so how do I get past now the person that was in charge of the airline in Jamaica she was deemed like the Maggie Thatcher of the airline industry, you know. So, you know, getting past her and getting an okay from her was going to be really difficult, apparently. You know, people were like, oh, God, you're not going to speak to this lady, you know. Anyway, so what I'd done was the ecology check. What I'd basically, right, here's my plan. Okay, what are my options? Okay, I could do that. Which option's the best one? I think that's probably going to be the best option. Okay, ecology check. How's that going to impact everyone else around me? You know, and, you know, the airline and everything else. And I went round and asked all the stakeholders, I'm thinking about doing this. How will this affect you? Is that okay? Is it a good idea? What do you think? And just ask people. Yeah. And they said, yeah, that'd be better for us because it would be, right, great. So when I went into the lady and said, okay, I knocked on the door, trembling. Walked in and said, look, I've got this thing that's going to save you billions of, you know, millions of dollars, the airline millions of dollars. It'll make you look good. And actually, I've asked your team, they think it's a brilliant idea too. How do you like this? Bam, bam, bam. Get on with it. And that was it. And that's the thing. It's about getting hold of this ecology check. So we teach people how to be able to make decisions. I say there's 3 core skills. Make great decisions, be creatively brilliant, which means understand the process you've got to get to from here's your option, here's, you know, any idea is going to compete for its place in the world. And then, okay, you standardize it. And then that's being creatively brilliant, getting it to that place. Making great decisions. And the other one is collaborating powerfully. And those are the only 3, really, if you get those 3 right, you're laughing, you'd save the world. Yeah.
But how do you make great decisions?
By getting it wrong most of the time. But,
right. Okay, yeah.
But that's the process. It's not thinking about, no decision needs to take more than 20 minutes. Even if you decide not to make a decision, because you need more information, you can say, right, well, we'll stop making decisions now. Let's go away and think about it.
And do it. Yeah. I think it was, I'm always, it was almost sure at your retreat as well, I picked up on the, you know, if you don't make a decision, the worst thing, your enemy or your competitors will make the decision for you. And then you lose control. So it was like, make a decision. If it's the wrong one, realize it, make another one as quickly as you possibly can if you're still alive in the military terms, and keep making them until you get it right.
So you should always go with that. Again, we talked about it on the retreat, the infinite decision making. So you know, I use the EJUICE. Using acronym, sorry mate, I'm going to get pulled off, aren't I? So the EJUICE thing. EJUICE comes from it's the opposite of reduce. EJUICE actually comes from the Latin word for leading out potential, believe it or not. So I thought, oh, great word.
Use that, yeah.
evaluate your options, evaluate your situation, decide what it means, and then what you're going to do about it. Understand the first, second, third order impacts, i.e. doing an ecology check. Commit to making the decisions, carrying out the plan, and then you instantly, after action review, evaluate it again. EDUCE.
Keep doing it.
Yeah, and it's like a figure of 8 when you do it on the thing. The way I do it. So the infinite thing is, infinite decision making.
Yeah.
No, the first right answer will never be it's not always the best right answer, and everything's moving along. The reason why we get all these theories at different times is because the people at that particular part of the life cycle say, "Oh, well, this is what you need now." So there's a big thing about entrepreneurs. This is what we need. Well, no, actually, sometimes you do need management processes, things like that, to secure the gains that you've made. But then you need to then, familiarize it and pass it down to the troops, and for them to be familiar with. There's difference.
Yes, because again, what I've always struggled with and in theory it's called disruptive equilibrium. It's with that point of which you have an idea, you have these artists, you have these creative people, and they have to move into this. Sorry, I missed that. Then we broke up.
Disruptive equilibrium. Go on, carry on.
I know exactly. Yeah, I know. That's why I moved past it really quickly. Do you notice? They have this thing called where the ideas are created. So where the decisions and ideas need to pass into a structure. And it's that point of where it passes into the structure, where it always fails down. Because these creative individuals, these artists say, right, this is where we want to go. This is what we're going to do. And they meet the kind of old school guys, the traditional people go, nah, we did it like that. Nah, it doesn't work. I'm sorry, have you thought about this and this? So it's that point of where the rub is. And how does your thinking, your model, almost kind of stop that friction, or is that encouraged? Is it that we're actually that's part of life? We're always going to get these old traditionals with these young artists, or I'm being now, but
well, so Joseph Campbell, the hero with 1,000 faces, is it? He talks about that life cycle, and what always happens is like every movie is created like that, isn't it? Like Star Wars, there's always this barrier before you go to the next stage, and you always have to be pushed, and then you meet the mentor, and then you do this, that thing, and so these archetypal type stages in life are there, and if you tell people about it and give them examples of where that works, then that's a good way of doing it. I don't. One of the persons that's quite good at this is Richard Branson. I'm not saying he's a hero of mine, but this is one thing that he does really well. So Richard Branson he's what I call a serial founder, not a serial entrepreneur. What he does, he goes into a situation, he communicates people, he kind of challenges the status quo, he creates new ideas, and then he champions them. But what he does, the first thing he does is hire a team of people. I've got this idea, you make it a reality.
Yeah.
And so he employs those people. So he's not threatening those people. He's saying, look, here's something. Make it work. And you'll have most of it. I mean, I don't think he owns all the businesses, does he?
No.
He straight away, he has a part share in it. And I've noticed other people do that on a smaller scale. In a village where I used to live, the guy would open a restaurant, and it would be really successful. He would sell most of his shares in it. With the money he got from that, he'd open across the road another restaurant, do the same thing again, get it going really well, bang. So that's how he gets past that thing of, he's not fighting anyone. He's right, this is what I know I can get from here to here, and then you need to take it on from there.
Yeah.
I think there's two things that really hold us back as a species, if you like, is we don't do ecology checks, because if you did an ecology check, I think most supermarkets, all the pollution, all the wrapping, all the rubbish. I was in Bangor University, they've got stuff wrapping there that is biodegradable. Why have we still got plastic? It's just ridiculous. Ecology check would stop the majority of that happening.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that we suffer with is the fact that as we develop, all our previous personalities are encapsulated. So if you go back to see your parents as an adult, you end up being a stroppy teenager again. You trigger each other up. That that stroppy teenager is still in there, and you're in a child and stuff. But also evolutionary. And before we didn't compete our way to the top of the evolution tree, we collaborated our way there. But before that, we were like monkeys, and they work on dominant hierarchy, and that's the challenge we've got. Is that if people can get away with it, they will dominate the rest because they get more resources. And so we're actually regressing. So business is a platform at the moment which allows certain people to regress back to dominant hierarchy. And that's why we've got all those problems in the world, I reckon. If you were to do something.
So, and will your elite team concept then, because I talk about self-organization, so allowing people to work together, creates a better performance, better purpose. It brings in democracy, because why would I work for you if you're going to beat me up every day and tell me what to do and shout and rant, etc. So it almost brings into that level. So will elite do the same thing? Will elite kind of team leadership?
Yeah, I mean the elite thing is just an acronym. So, but what what it is that I'm trying to do is show people, especially entrepreneurs, that actually there's a better way of doing this. At first it's your baby, it's my baby. So it's like a codependent relationship with a small group of people. Then it's the business. Yeah. And then if you've done it right and you've passed the power, who's got the power? You've got to direct the power to the front line, sort of thing, to the team. Yeah. It's our business now. We're all in this together. And then it actually becomes, it's their business. And the entrepreneur isn't is more a steward, like a farmer. He's creating the conditions for these people to really, develop and flourish. Yeah. And then you can step back and go, that was great. And then go and start another one. Yeah. And that's the best way. And the reason why it works really well for entrepreneurs is quite often they'll say to me, the more people that I hire, the more decisions I'm making. They won't make a decision. And so I go, well, have you taught them how to do that? No. Right. Okay. Well, that's what this does. This thing is a way of helping them make decisions that don't sink the ship, and see yourself as a steward where you can then do this. And it's going to get more difficult to sell businesses. Apparently now it's only like 1 in 400 actually. We're going to smash it and then we're going to sell up and then go and move to an island like Richard Branson. Yeah. Well, actually, it's only 1 in 400 that actually manage it. The rest of the time, it's just sheer hard work, growing 50 people, hard work, stressed out, everyone's happy, okay, collapsing and all that stuff. Whereas this way, just make a smaller business with a few people, let them take it over, have an employee-owned business, sell it to the team. They've got something. You create something, a platform for them to flourish. That's a lot to be proud of. And you can still have shares in the business, and you can go and start something else. Yeah. Do it that way. It's a lot easier. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's a good concept. I never thought of that actually. I'm thinking that back with DNA now. Yeah. So it's like you mentioned about looking at things in a more natural. Yes. Well, this is the way we were designed to operate. Yeah. We were designed to collaborate. Yeah. Well, look at this. Do you own your baby? If you have a child, do you own the child? No. How do you know you've succeeded as a parent? Well, when that child can stand independently, make their own decisions, right values, and be more successful than you are, you've won. Yeah. And that's leadership. That's where the humility comes into it. Yeah. Look what I've done. Yeah. I've helped these people become successful. Yeah, I was part of that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm just conscious of, we kind of ran out of time again, but if and this is probably a tricky one for you as well. What if you're going to give not tips to do stuff, but what would you say that we need to stop doing, whether that's in teams or stop doing in organizations, in order to become more successful? What are we going to stop tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock in order to be better as people, human race, teams, whatever? Yeah, success is. What do you mean by success? That's another one. But to be better human beings. Yeah. Do an ecology check with your decision making. Right. So look around. Yeah, I'd say one thing, it would be that. Okay. Yeah. Brilliant. Martyn, good as always. Thanks very much. I look forward to the next time. Cheers, fella. I'm off to have a cup of tea now. My head's gone. See you later. Cheers, fella.